Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're watching. Welcome to another episode of the Good Living Podcast. It's your man, Coke Boy, and I'm here alone. And I'm going to talk about something that has been bothering me for a while. And I believe a lot of people also might have these questions that I have that I'm going to ask here. And it's about Christianity in this country. Now, first of all, I want to say something that I'm a Christian. I was born a Christian into the Anglican Church, and a lot of the values that I hold there and a lot of the principles that I've grown up with is directly as a result of the Christianity in my household and the Christianity that I was raised with. Same with most of us. And growing up, I have tended to attend organized religious activities a lot less. And I believe that's the case for many young people right now. And I've also wondered why, right? And then on a larger scale of things, especially after a while when you grow old, you grow older and then you go into the world and see how your country actually works. You see how the world actually works. And then some things that you've known begin to come back to bite you. Like, you begin to question certain things you had learned when you were quite young that you had believed 100%. In 2016 December, the Vanguard released a news article that said that Nigeria was the second most religious country in the world. If you don't understand that, it means now us nine serve God pass. You understand? It doesn't matter the religion, but in this country, in Igbo one hand, ikpe Chineke carry everybody else. We pray more, we have more connection to God. So, because of that, the situation of the country, for example, can lead you to ask that since we serve God, right? How can life be as miserable as this and also be as good as it is somewhere else where they don't serve God? These are questions we don't even ask our parents, but we would ask God. But we've been taught already not to question God, you know, not to test Him, not to. You understand? And it's now difficult to answer these questions yourself because you won't feel guilty thinking about them. But I also want us to take a closer look at how Christianity is handled in Nigeria because I think that is where there's a problem. The people of Nigeria forget that the people who we look up to as our religious fathers and so on are human beings like us. Occasionally, that is where it starts from. And I'm pulling on a string here, so just stay with me. Now, if for you to be a Christian man or a Christian woman, you have to be a member of a church. And in that church, there is a head of the church, the person who controls everything in the church. And that is your closest access to God. And if that's the case, you tend to hold that person in high esteem, perhaps too high, which is why we have the problems we have in our country because it's the same people you see from Monday to Saturday that you see in church on Sunday. So the woman that is a constant cheat that they know in Wadata Market, she has somewhere she worships on Sunday. Oh. That Yahoo boy, that one that has scam people, that is even running his neighbors and his friends' street, that guy has somewhere he used to go on Sunday. Oh. The hookup girl, whatever they are doing, they assemble at one church every Sunday. Because when you go to church, it's not the congregation you are seeing there. They are not there as costume for as props for you to come and worship with you. As you they come out live your life during the week, now so they come out live their own life. So you will meet somebody in church and expect them to be trustworthy, and they will still be shit people. And that's one thing. So Christianity doesn't have a spine like that anymore. I'll give you an example. How many churches have the pastors been disgraced out of the church for doing one evil thing or the other? For sleeping with somebody, stealing money, things that regular people do. Your cost rep will do it in school. The person holding your contribution money can do it. Pastor can do it. It's stealing of money. Everybody can do it. So we keep forgetting that these people are human beings. How do we really vet those people we call daddy? Those people, how do we vet them? Because religious leaders hold a lot of respect in this country. Religious leaders are respected more than politicians because politicians, everybody knows that they are dirty. Religious leaders are respected highly. And all you have to do to be a religious leader is have a congregation and a big church, maybe wide reach. In these days, social media reach. But to gain a level of respect, you should have gone through a level of suffering or training or something. But in this country, a lot of our papas, we don't know anything about their lives up until they became the papas that they are. You know, Maybe if you read into their stories, which I must confess here, I've not read enough into every single pastor to know their come up story. But we, as a country, tend to give plenty power to one man of God because he's a man of God. We have good pastors and bad pastors, and I'm not saying I know the ones. I don't even know which is which. And even the Bible said it that most of us are going to be deceived. Even the very elect will be deceived. So the fake pastors are probably the ones that look like the realest pastors from our perspective. But the possibility that there's a fake pastor makes you understand that in Christianity in this country, we have people who are not called by God divinely the way that it should be. We have people like that who are probably established, right? And if you know that, that means living in this country, you are going to be exposed to fake pastors. That means there are several of us that are citizens of this country that are fervently attending the church of a fake pastor. You know, I think fake pastor by the definition of the Bible, the one that God did not call divinely by himself, that is not doing the Lord's work primarily. It means that we or some of the people we know are members of some of the fake churches that are around because they are around. And I want to say certain things that I just find a bit suspect. I'm not saying any church is doing it. If you know one, it's just for you to use it. But I'm going to list out a few things that I would say I've noticed with Christianity in Nigeria that has made Nigerians impoverished. The way the Christianity has worked in certain ways, I've seen it that impoverish Nigerians directly. First of all, I think Christianity in Nigeria has one particular characteristic. It promises quick solutions. We as a people tend to believe that our problem can be solved in an instant as long as we have God. It's like the world is giving you an option that if you want to make this cup move from here to here, then you have to pick up the cup and move it from there to there, which is what science and the physical world is telling all of us, both Christians and Muslims alike. But if there's an option, something else that tells you, yo, it is possible to move that without even doing anything, just want it to move and it to move, everybody will begin to tend towards the part that tells you don't have to do anything. And so we are addicted to comfort, I guess. Humanity and generally life is addicted to comfort, and you gravitate towards where you can find more solace and comfort. So that is why instead of looking at the real work that it might take to do something, we fall on the fact that we have a supernatural being that can move things in our favor. And then because of that, it has bred a certain level of laziness. Not laziness physically, but laziness mentally. Because we do not begin to pick points and try to work our brain to discern between who a real pastor, who a fake pastor is, as long as everybody is offering us that, selling us that idea that we can get something. And of course, miracles happen. But if an entire population is addicted by that thought that miracle will happen for them at the last minute, then you're going to have a nation that is slow in growth and easy to manipulate. Now, a lot of the problems that we face in this country is that physical work that can do it. You get up, do the work, get the result, everybody is happy. But everybody would ignore that. In this country, I'll give you an example. There will be a governor that will be elected, and his job will be to do good roads, right? To build to build schools, to build hospitals, to make life easier for the people in the state. And he would not do his job. And if he in a society that was not lazy mentally, and did not have the belief that something can happen for them in a twinkle without them having to work, in a society like that, when the road is bad or salaries are not paid, your only option is to do something to make sure that salary is paid. And what do you do? You hold the person responsible for paying the salaries and doing the roads, hold them accountable, jack them like this. But in Nigeria, the reason why this country is so poor and is declining rapidly, even while we are still Christians, is because we are not holding anybody accountable. So if you didn't have that now, next thing, we are banging at the governor's door. Hey, there's allocation. Why have you not paid? We've been paying our taxes. Why have you not paid our salaries? Why have you not done this road? Because that's the only option you have. When they say go and vote now or protect your vote, everybody's like, I need to vote for this country again. But deep down, deep down, they are hoping that their candidate will win. You know, like this election now, there are people, obviously, everybody was gingered up to vote, whether it is for Obi, Tinubu, or Atiku. Everybody was geared up to vote this last election. We were inspired. We knew we had to use our hand to what they call it, to sculpt our own future. So everybody went out to vote. But in previous years, when they tell somebody, don't you vote? A lot of people are lackluster. Even this previous election, people were lackluster about voting. So those people who are apathetic to politics and refuse to vote, even them, they secretly hope for one candidate to win. You know that they actually do. They just are too lazy to get up. You know why? Because they know that, it could happen. God could still do it even without me working. And nothing works like that. There's this thing, there's a pastors in my church used to always brag about. They would say, I've not been sick, I've not taken Panadol for the last 2 years. Or they'll just give a time frame where they've never been sick, they've never gone to the hospital because it's divine health. Now, the congregation now, see what they were doing. And a member of my family did this as well. Refused to take medicine when they fall sick so that they can brag to like pastor. And you go and die like a chicken, and then you say, God, look, people don't understand that certain things are in the Bible there for also. There is no place where God told you that you are encouraged to refuse medicine from your physician, and for some reason you are more Christian than the other guy. It's just sheer stupidity to me. So take your drugs. So I think that's another wrong doctrine. So if that was happening, will you say it was God and somebody that God was speaking through directly? The Bible is the Bible, and it is unambiguous. I can say maybe the earliest version of the Bible that we might have had in English would have been very unambiguous. The ambiguity that the Bible might have now, it will be because of these diverse translations and versions, of the Bible in one language. I don't think any other. Please, you can tell me. I'm open to corrections and I'm happy to get them. So if I quote anything wrong here, please feel free to correct me in the comments. I don't think there is any language on earth that the Bible has been translated into that has more variations within himself than the English language. I'm saying there is more variations of the English Bible than any other language Bible. And why is that? It's because I would say it's because majority of Christians are English speaking, and there are forces that that seek to manipulate the word of God. This is conspiracy theory 407. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but there might be. I have a problem with the hypocrisy. That's something else I have a problem with. I have a personal experience. So I was the usher in a church, and at that time I used to have little dreadlocks, but they were not locked or anything. My hair was just, like I rolled it, you get, and I had continued rolling it. So I used to be a member of this church now, an usher. Sorry, I would do my job then. I was excited. I liked the job. I felt I was very useful. And then I didn't attend church for a month or so because I was out of town, and then my hair had grown out a little bit, so it was kind of falling. It was really cute, but it's the church, and so I came to serve. And mind you, I know things that happen in this church. Not that I'm using it against the church, but I know certain things that have happened in the church, and this information will be useful in the future. Just hold on. Now, I was serving that first Sunday I came back, and I was standing doing my thing, but I noticed some women, like the equivalent of CWO in my church. They're looking at me. They would look. I'll catch their eyes. They would look away. And then after everybody, the whole congregation sat down. I had these slips where I could wear counting slip for those who have done usher before. Counting slip, I had it in my hand. My director came, collected the counting slip and said, sorry, I shouldn't stand up again. I should not worry. I said, okay. I went after the service, told her what happened, asked her what happened. And she said, those women had a problem on my hair. That is bad. And I'm like, really? Really? This church that they dismissed pastor for stealing money. This church, the accountant was just a chronic thief, was even ready to be fighting people inside church premises. Stole so much money from the church, accountant. This church that they gave somebody that's an elder money to fix our gen. He did Creo. Gen, the thing that spoiled, that he said spoiled, did not even spoil. He just brought somebody, he fronted, collected money from the church. This church, me is my hair that is making me have to sit down. I cannot serve with you people again. Ah, no, I was pissed. I was mad. Now, another one. The church should care because the church should care about people, Abi. And I've noticed that it's in our society, Nigeria here, the church does not care. And you might argue with me because the local church in your area does outreach or your church does outreach. But the primary aim of the church is to bring people close to God. And what way would somebody listen to you or respect you if you don't give them acts of kindness, if you don't show them that this is what God has done for me, and that's why I'm extending this to you. So if you want to be in my position, which is the giver, not the receiver, follow me. And that should be what the church does. I saw it. There was a video that trended recently on Twitter where women of a certain church carried their banner and they were singing on the road. And in front of them was pastor inside jeep with his wife in front, wound up. It was raining heavily, but the members of the church were behind them. And to the level that I've read my Bible to, that's not Christianity. That's not how it should be practiced. Because now, how are you caring for your members? What is even the essence of that? And I'm beginning to see that in this country, many churches prioritize their pockets over their members. Now, the church will do certain things to keep the members or to keep collecting money from the members instead of enriching them spiritually. If a church has more than one offering, honestly, aside special occasions like Easter, end of month or whatever, if standard in that church on a regular Sunday or Saturday you get to give offering twice, there's a problem. That church is going to impoverish you more than anything. They are coming for your money. This one, I just feel it. I think I know that is what they would do. A lot of things they do is geared towards bringing people into the church rather than establishing the ones who are already in there spiritually. Even if there's a sermon about how you're going to receive quick miracle, quick healing, quick contract, quick financial turnaround, quick husband, quick wife, even if the sermon is all about that, encouraging you that you can get it, don't give up. At the end, there is always something they want from you. And of course, it's a church, right? But where I begin to see the problem is when you encourage me in this manner, and at the end of the day, you tell me I cannot get this unless I do certain things that now involve money. You might be suspicious at that, but that's just one, and that might be the case. That might be what will unlock your blessing. Who knows? But then, if everything they preach about, they tell you it is unreachable unless you do this, and whatever that this is something that is going to enrich that church financially. If every single thing they preach about has a gateway where you must be not coerced, but you must be convinced, or they'll put it in your head to give money. One thing I hate about Christianity in Nigeria is the lack of unity. I was attending one church earlier in the early years of my life, and now I attend another church. And in that church I used to attend, there's something I noticed. In sermons, they would occasionally talk about other churches, and they would talk about them in a good way. I'll give you an example. I was in church, and during the preaching, I don't know, I was quite small and I pay attention quite well. So I wasn't paying attention at that very moment. But I heard him say something about other churches, right? So he didn't say any bad thing. He was just saying terrible things that could be found in other churches that we don't find in our church. And then they will now, so I'm quoting him now. I said, they will now call themselves living faith, because we are dead faith. And then the congregation would laugh a little bit. That thing, I was probably 8, 9, or 10 years old when that happened. But I swear it has never left me. And I'm saying, it is God we are talking about here. All of us are supposed to be bringing people into the church of God. And then there's somebody else that does that work, that job, bringing people into the world and showing them God. There's somebody that does that job for you while you're doing your own here, and you're bad mouthing the person. And I'm like, you're doing it under the ordination of God, Abi, because they say whatever you say in the altar, let you speak. They will tell God, please speak through me as I'm about to speak to these people. And then you're saying that, come on, man. So it's like a joke thing now. So if you're going to be treating other churches like a competition and they are supposed to be doing the same work as you, tell me what makes people quarrel. If you see two of them fighting, you would think, okay, it's money or it's woman. You know, something that made one betray the other one's loyalty. And what are two things I would say are important to men, money and women? I know you say God and all this other thing, but honestly, in terms of acquisitions, yes, you want to have the finest woman and then you want to have so much money. However, two people that apparently are supposed to have the same goal and are apparently working effectively towards their goal, why would they be hating on each other? It's because they are messing with each other's bag. They're messing with each other's money, and you are the money. So members equal money. And churches these days, those I would say the fake ones that are interested in money, churches these days will focus more on bringing more, want to bring people more to the church. I tell you, if a church today preaches something, maybe the end time, stop sinning, stop wearing trousers if you're a girl, that kind of doctrine, you preach that to 1 million people, only 100,000 will come back next Sunday because they don't like hearing that stuff. So now, the church that prioritizes money, which is what most of our churches in this country do, they would do only things that will keep people coming, which is why a lot of churches now these days, what they do is entertainment. There's one I keep seeing on my TikTok, is where this guy would have a couple, mostly very mature couple, like people in their 50s and so, and they'll be spilling their personal problems in the church. This I will say how her husband doesn't like to sleep with her. It's always like raw stuff like that. And the church is entertained. And it's like countless of these videos that I've seen. I'm wondering, this man is clearly doing this intentionally because he's getting views from it. He's getting members because people like, where they that church where they always talk all these kind of things. That's where they want to go. And then pastor will leave the thing that he's supposed to be doing, like retaining, and then he starts entertaining because people are there now. They'll be when it's time after the entertainment, when it's time for offering and tithes, they will still give. There's another one I keep seeing, but this one is like all these East African countries. Their pastors are the ones with the most gimmicks. Where a guy wanted to do on your mask, get set and go. They wanted to do a race on the altar. So all the pastors and plus the head pastors stayed in their starting position. And when they said go, all the other pastors ran, but each of them went to go and hook at different points in the front. Then the main pastor now stood up, started walking majestically, and then reached the finish line before them. What nonsense! In church, why? Just for entertainment, just so people can come, so they can stay and be entertained and come next Sunday because they want to collect their money. And if another church starts doing that kind of thing, you want to outperform them. There was a woman, there's this thing I saw in 2019. A woman, there were different clips of her getting healed for the same problem in different churches. This thing is on the internet here, but I'm not going to mention the church only because I can't remember many of them now. But popular churches, these ones that are on the internet, these ones that used to have channels, that they have their own dedicated channels on My TV in those days. Those kind of churches. Some of them I've forgotten their names, but I know the name of their channels. In like 4 of them I recognized, the same woman, her hand is like one is shorter than the other, but extremely fat. But she can also stretch it back to normal size. Incredible stuff. So I will see her in this altar. Begin to release, she will shake the hand, then the thing will come out. Everybody will go wild. And then the next church, yeah, she was healed in like 4 or 5 places. So I'm saying, yo, you know this is miracles, yeah? Live miracle, the one where you're gisting with the demon. It brings views. And they are on it. So I advise you, look, just go find a church that uplifts you spiritually and go there. They deserve your offering. If they don't uplift you spiritually and you know you are going to church to be entertained, you're probably in the wrong church. This is just my opinion, you get. But if I'm going to ask the right questions, this is what I'm arriving at. I'd rather be in a church that wants to grow me spiritually than anything else. If you look at this, the way we practice Christianity seems to be working. You know why? It's because of how we uplift testimonies, the way we hype testimonies and uplift the testimonies of people from different churches compared to the way we break the bad news. Let me give an example. In my church, we do not announce deaths. Now, that could be a doctrine issue. You see how it is? I mean, if you're transparent, Abi. But if you're selecting the information now, it can't be as if it's like white line. You know, when something good happens to somebody in the church, you will announce it. The testimony will be read, and she will announce in her church. The testimony will be read across other branches. But if somebody dies, even in that person's branch, they don't get the recognition. And to me, it just looks like trying to twist the mind of the congregation, because if there's a congregation of 1,000 people, one family there loses somebody, maybe 50 people around them, maybe 50 people know that person and then know about the death. The remaining 900 and something have no idea that anybody has died in that church. As far as they're concerned, it is good news all the way until something bad happens to them that deserves recognition at the altar, and they don't get it. Then they realize, oh, this is the method. And I think it's intentional. You get? It's not a joke. It's intentional. It's not coincidental. And these are the subtle things they do. And the church is being run like a business, because now you're moving the minds of people, making them believe one thing or the other. But we are seeing certain things. So something else again that I think is gross manipulation from most Nigerian churches, but still works on all of us because we are extremely gullible. Extremely gullible. Extremely gullible. Is this: there is no business on earth you would do that, if it is giving you, if you make your investment 5 times, you only make 1/4 back, and you have to invest another 5 times to get 1/4 back. If you keep seeing that kind of investment, will you go into it? No. Let me give you another example. If you see a lake of fire and they tell you, if you jump in there, there's a large chance that instead of entering fire, what you will enter is gold, and you can pack money and come out. They tell you that about that lake of fire there. If you now start seeing people jumping, everybody is burning. Then occasionally somebody will come out unscathed with gold. But if people are jumping and jumping, then every once in a while, will you jump? You won't jump. But in most of our churches, they will preach something for you. They will tell you that if you do these things, this is your gateway to financial success, or your route to financial independence, But what they will preach in the sermon, is basically how you should be very fervent in your tithing, in your offering, in your prophet offering, in your first fruit offering, in your end of month thanksgiving. You should be very fervent in those things. You should be coming to church regularly. You should be inviting your neighbors and friends to church. In a sermon that's supposed to be about, how you are going to become a millionaire, that is what they tell you is what you need to do. Everything is just about how you give the church, both members and your time and everything. Nothing practical. You get? And I've endured services like that multiply, as in different times and different occasions. And they do that. But guess what? You might be tithing every day. You might know somebody, because I do, who is tithing every day, who is fasting when the church says they should fast, who is praying every day, who is inviting people and doesn't miss church, himself or herself. And yet they are broke. Some days it's them that will come and meet you and tell you, please, if you have any transport to go to church. Like that for years. And you might say, their time has not come. Their time will come. God will do it. Their time will come. And then these people are like that for years. But when they want to do that sermon, and he's been doing everything they teach him in the church. But the truth is, in this life, everything has principles. If you want to succeed, try and fail at what the successful people told you to do. Like, for example, you have to be a millionaire. There are plenty of billionaires that have books. Have you read Follow One Billionaire, or somebody that made it in life, and followed his book? And have you read and done what they said you should do in that book, and still you failed? You know somebody that has done that and failed. You know one person that has done that and failed. Then you know, okay, this one too is probably fake. But this other one, I've seen people, and they lived like that and they died like that. Poor. But they're doing everything. They suffered like till they died. So that tells us that somebody is lying somewhere. Somebody is lying somewhere. Somebody is telling us something that is not true, that is not working. And why do we keep staying there? You know why? It's because every once in a while, somebody comes with a testimony, and they will phrase it in this manner. It's because I did this that they say we should do in the church, and then I got a call from this person and my life changed, blah, blah, blah. It's always like that. And they will say, they will indoctrinate you so much that even if that is not exactly the order of things, but that is the blueprint. That's how everybody's testimony comes along. When you're giving your own too, you do it in that manner. You see me, I've been guilty of that. something happened drastically in my life a few years ago that changed me. And I know what I had to change personally, physically, to achieve the result that I achieved. I know what I had to do in my real life. Yes. But when that thing changed, I became an usher in the church. I didn't become an usher in the church before that happened, though. When that happened, I became an usher in the church. But when I wanted to give the testimony in church, I still said I started serving in the church, and then I just found myself doing that. And so I know that, you could be, but if you step back and really look at how things work, certain ways they give you financial in certain sermons, BM, it's just things to enrich the church and leave you losing. So if you're looking for something, look for the practical ways on how to get it. If you want life to be better, vote good leaders. If you want this cup to move from here to here, carry your hand and carry it. So the basic principles of how we should be decent human beings are there already in the Ten Commandments. And if you can just listen to your conscience, even without knowing the Ten Commandments, I believe if everybody would listen to their conscience and just try to be good people, this world would be a lot better. I won't even need organized religion in a way. Thank you very much for listening to the Good Living Podcast. Oh, see you next time.